3,000,000 years from Earth, the Red Dwarf podcast thanks for the memory. Its crew, Blake Braswell, a USA native, and Lee Malaby, his English co-host. Additional. In solidarity to Lister losing his arm, I feel like I would like my ears and eyes removed so I don't have to endure any more of Series 7 of Red Dwarf, and he's hoping Series 8 is a marked improvement, because if not, it's going to be more of a slog than a Gelf's wedding night. What is up, Smegheads, and welcome to Series 7 of Thanks for the Memory, a Red Dwarf podcast where we rewatch every episode of the BBC comedy show Red Dwarf and discuss them. I am Lee, and I am here with my good friend Blake. Hey, buddy. How's it going?
It's going good. I am going to try to stake my ground in positivity and find what I can that I think is positive to talk about. This could be short.
For anybody who was hoping for less negativity than we had in the last two episodes, spoilers, I don't think you're going to get it. And it's funny, like we went into Series 7 knowing off the back that the general fan response to this series was not favourable. And as I said to you, we got like 2 or 3 episodes and I'm like, I kind of like where this is going. Because I said to you that I was like, maybe it's the Doug Naylor stuff that I like. And then we moved further in. I'm like, oh, no, when he's left unchecked, it's a little bit too much Doug Naylor.
I think we will get into this more as we do this and the subsequent episode. But I think much like peanut butter and chocolate go great together, I think you need the both of them.
I agree.
To feel like Dwarf. So at least, for right now in this, there are further things ahead that I have been told are more fun. As I said, once we get past, I think I've seen all of Series 8. Once we get past Series 8, I really haven't seen anything. And I'm told there's some stuff in there that people may be listening out going, oh, no, Blake, you're so wrong. But that is fun. And it could be that, you get a writer or somebody that comes along that's got the same sensibilities that can help with this. But it is, we are very much watching a show that has been gone for a few years. It has come back. And it has made big changes, and it is struggling to find its footing.
Just find its identity, I think, more than anything.
Yes, I agree. So what are we talking about? Well, today we are talking about the 7th episode of Series 7. It is Epideme, which originally aired in the UK on Friday, February 28th, 1997.
Just to jump in before all our listeners jump on, from the episode itself, it's Epideme is how they pronounce it, Blake, so I'm just going to
Epideme, you're right. No, he says it. I wrote that down even. They say it over Epideme, but yes. Whenever I tried to find this is one of those that when I was not living in the States, I was trying to procure because I had never seen it through different means. I thought it was Epideme, but
which is how I would have pronounced it without knowing how they pronounce it. But yes, it is Epideme.
I guess I was living in Japan, so M-A-M-E.
Oh, that's fine.
May.
Yeah, of course.
Japanese, isn't it? So, wonder if that's what was in my brain.
I'll take that excuse.
So the crew come across an abandoned ship with one survivor, Caroline Carmen, one of Lister's former crushes. She revives in the middle of the night and infects Lister with the dreaded Epideme virus, which threatens to kill him unless something is done. He tries talking with Epideme directly through a communication link, but nothing doing. He ends up losing an arm to the virus before Kachansky comes up with another solution. All right, well, you've been listening to Thanks for the Memory, the Red Dwarf podcast. I'm Blake.
I feel like this one at least has kind of a story around it, because spoilers, if you're watching along for the first time, this is actually a 1-2 episode, like a genuine 1-2 episode. And I think the first ones we've had that have properly followed on from each other.
As in literally saying what happened last episode in the following episode.
But I don't feel, again, spoilers, because we're not talking about the second episode. I don't feel either of them had a story really worth telling. This one feels like a really early episode. It feels like he's gone, right, what did people like about original Red Dwarf? Like people like Talkie Toaster. Oh, well, we'll give Epideme kind of that Talkie Toaster vibe, which he has.
I wrote that. Being able to talk to the virus is a throwback to something you would have seen in the first series. I wrote, yes. Yeah.
And they gave him that. And it's funny, in the trivia, originally, it was meant to be Patrick Stewart that voiced Epideme, which would have been interesting. But Doug Naylor thought with the darker tone of the episode, he didn't want to, rather than have a Shakespearean actor, the virus should be more like a game show host to add a little more lightheartedness and comedy.
Well, the game show host vibe, his delivery as the game show host vibe definitely feels like Old Dwarf, but I feel like that was missing an opportunity not to get Patrick Stewart.
Yes, but then again, and that's the problem, that it feels too much like an old episode, that it feels like you're trying to capitalize on that nostalgia rather than do something that fits the episode you're trying to do. Does that make sense?
Yes. I agree completely. I think, this episode and the next episode are probably going to be very similar. They are kind of almost as if they are one episode. Yeah. In retrospect, I would want to say we should have done this as one episode ourselves.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But because I don't want to repeat themes too much, but it definitely try to focus on just this episode, but there is this desire to try and be what was, but it isn't.
Yeah.
And I think there is a fear that you obviously have in changing too much when you know it's already changed a bunch. But but I would argue the way it's filmed, not in front of the live studio audience, there are so many other things that changed that are just as big as Rimmer not being there. And I know Rimmer not being there is huge, but
Massive.
But not only do you take him out, but the way you used to do the show is different. And I will say this, it actually might be more in the next episode, but there are some things that do click a bit better because you can tell the crew has now been working together for a bit longer. Whereas in the beginning of this series, what, 3-year gap, 4-year gap?
Yeah.
Between working with each other. And you can feel it. I mean, even with the regulars between Chris Berry and Craig Charles, Danny John Jules, you can feel it. I wrote this down real quick in the beginning of this episode. Why doesn't Kachansky work when she's being a nerd? Is she not as fundamentally unlikable as Lister and crew? This is literally me like thinking out loud, or except I was writing it down.
Yeah.
Does she not have a big enough flaw? Because I was trying to figure out, like, why does this her being a nerd thing not work? In that it worked when it was Crichton doing this. And I wrote that when Crichton was the brains of the ship going, oh my goodness, it's a this and so comet. And it worked because he has this childlike wonder, right? And then you've got a Rimmer or Lister who doesn't care, Kat who doesn't understand, and then a Rimmer who would like to be like Kachansky, but isn't. So I do think there's something interesting with saying, let's replace Rimmer with someone who actually knows what they're doing. And I said, does she not have a big enough flaw? Because maybe what it is they were so worried people weren't going to like her because she had to replace a fan favorite Rimmer that they might have made her character not work as well for this season, because I do have a distinct memory that I enjoy the interplay. She is, to me, more part of the show in the next series than she is this series.
See, I remember very little of Series 8. I mean, I know I've watched them. I've watched all of them at least twice, but I have very little memory from arguably this series through. Well,
and I feel, and I said early on, one thing I didn't realize in one of the early episodes was like, oh, she is like Rimmer and Lister in that she has a very sad upbringing, but you kind of got to listen to it in between when she says, oh, well, I all my friends were virtual because she went to a CGI school or whatever. And I was like, oh, she grew up posh, but alone and like not good with people and awkward. And
but then she's had all this time with her Dave and her Rimmer and her Cat aboard the other Red Dwarf to kind of mold and shape her.
What I don't think we get clear is who she is in that crew.
Yes.
Because if you made it a definitive, like, she is the leader of this crew, and in our world, Dave is the leader, we would say more than less, but Dave's the leader.
Yeah, he is.
Rimmer would like to be. If you replaced Rimmer with someone who's like, sorry, I'm the leader, I actually think it worked. But I bet I can see, I'm obviously playing very Monday morning quarterback, as we say here in the States. But I could see the fear of having them kick down the door like, well, you guys are a bunch of slobs and I was basically the captain on the previous one and I will be now. A fear of not liking her. And so to give her some of the things so there's conflict, they make Crichton not like her, but just out of pure jealousy for Lister. But also, like, why not write it where they're like, what is this thing? And she's like, before he can answer, she's like, oh, it's a so-and-so class 4 comet. They have a... And Crichton's like, well, that was my job. Your job is to clean the toilets, Captain Bogbot. Do you know what I mean? Like, that would have been... because right now, just Crichton just being...
We said that on the last episode, didn't he? He's literally been dumbed down to the character that we first met.
Yes, literally in the second series first met. That because the newer Crichton would not have not noticed those people had died.
And the thing but you've got a whole section in the beginning of it about him being to like lavatorial university and all the rest of it, and it's like that's not who Crichton is now. So I feel like...
because I feel like instead what he should be saying is, well, I'll have you know, Mom, I have, before you joined this crew,
yes.
I've done this. I was the science officer, blah, 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 blah. And even her being like, oh, great, a science officer that like also is responsible for knocking the crust out of Dave's underwear. Anything. I mean, like, it just... But I do think, I will bet there was a fear of making her like that, which I think does her a disservice.
Yes. Because like we've talked about it through 6 series, that every one of them is, like you said, flawed in one way or another. But then we've also, so what I was going to say off the back of you talking about kind of pulling her in, it's surprising and it's not surprising how much taking Rimmer out of it has fundamentally affected every facet of this TV series. Like, every character interaction is different now. Every character is kind of different now because of it. The person you've brought in, again, you don't want to bring in someone who is the same character, just different. So you bring in somebody and make them different, but that has affected all the interactions and not in a good way. But then we've also been saying this because of short series, and you've had a decent amount of gap in between each one, that at the end of each series... they learned. So like we said, when it first started, Cat, they didn't know what to do with Cat when he first came in. It's like a really cool idea. We have this, Lister has this cat who gets left on the ship and then has the babies, and they evolve over time into this race of cat people. What a brilliant idea. But then once Cat comes along, they're like, oh yeah, I don't really know what to do with him now. And it took them 2 or 3 series to find Cat's place.
And even little things like the usefulness of the crew, like going, you know what? A cat has great reflexes and stuff. Make him the pilot of Starbug. Like little things like that make sense, because then it starts to be like, there is something I like about seasons 4, 5, and 6, where, and 4 and 5, when they still have Red Dwarf in particular. I love series 6. This is not about liking it, but a conceit they have, which is, yep, we're starting to do Adventures of the Week, kind of Doctor Who style. But the reason we're doing that is because we have to figure out how to keep surviving. Like, we have to figure, like everything is a stop to get the supply to figure out this, or, make a, the demons and angels trying to figure out a way to get the supply of food to last longer. Everything has a reason to exist. And this one, 6 was all about trying to find Red Dwarf. Series 7 isn't. Spoiler, they might. And so it's weird that we've really dropped that conceit. Because what are they doing? They've got her back. So we said this early on too. Why aren't they then making this about her always trying to get back to her reality?
If you're not going to have it Red Dwarf, then surely there's nothing. I think you said it on the last episode or the one before. There's nothing driving it forward now.
And series 1 and 2 kind of did that a bit, and that was okay to some extent, because they are like, is this life now?
Yes.
Like what are we doing? And there are a couple of things like the adventure onto the Nova 5 to meet Crichton and stuff. But then series 3, you feel the no, we've got to start. They got to do stuff, or they're just going to slob and die. I don't know why that isn't part of this. I think her trying to get back would be make the most logical sense for the most part.
Yeah, she seems to have accepted this is her life now, really, really easily. It's like 2 episodes of morbing around. It's like, all right, this is it now, is it? Okay. Rather than if she's supposed to be as intelligent as she is, she should be constantly thinking about how do I get back to that.
And I think the things that throw it off is instead of writing for who they have, the characters they have in front of them, it's like when they land on the Leviathan, and it's frozen, and they're trying to find the life sign at the beginning of this episode, right? So they go in, and Lister screams like he's being attacked.
Oh yeah, I thought that was.
And then what
funny,
is
actually.
it?
There's like
a
drip of ice cold water down his back. It even went down my crevice.
And it feels like a classic Red Dwarf kind of thing to some extent, except it's like they walked in and went, we need one of those jokes. But one of those jokes where like one of them would do something like that. Something would happen that would scare Rimmer that shouldn't have, because he's just a coward. And then Lister like, ew, what a smeghead.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Lister screams, ah! And they're like, what? A piece of ice on my back. And it's like, oh, great. You know what I mean? Like, but they did the joke, but without having the double, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and what's Kachansky's flaw? Is her flaw that she is a coward like Rimmer? I don't actually suggest that. In fact, it would be better if something scared the crap out of the whole team and she turned back and looked at him and was like, what a bunch of pansies. You know what I mean? Then you take 2 steps and she's the one that screams, and you turn and it's like, I just had a water dribble down my back. I mean, that would, but it's just, it feels like we have to do a joke here. Yeah, it works for Lister, but like Lister's taken a step back too, because Lister had gotten better about being in charge.
Yeah.
Or not, and not even in charge, but just sort of taking the lead. And
reluctantly being the person that's kind of pushing things forward.
And now that's just gone.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like even Cat, I'm not saying he was ever elevated, but even he's kind of really reverted back to that early superficial.
Just jokes. Just a joke line. That's it.
Very much actually. Like you think about, that's the next episode. There's one section there's a bit in the next episode that's very much that. But yeah, he's become, like he doesn't feel part of the crew anymore. He's got, like when he first came in, like you say, he's just there to pop the odd joke off. Like, is it this one or the next one where he says about, I'm thinking about wearing leather underpants with the studs on the inside was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like those types of things that's got nothing to do with what's going on. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of, it's just joke after joke after joke after joke, and none of them really hit.
I you know what? I can't remember. You might be right. Was it this episode that you think what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that studded leather
is that this one or the next one? I don't. Yeah,
that's what's so bad.
I
can't remember.
Me either.
Well, I think particularly because these two, obviously the story is the same, like they overlap.
But then they don't.
So it's a little.
They don't feel different anymore, though, do they? Like you can. No. I mean, I know there's early episodes where we've gone, was that one or this one? But this series, other than Ticket to Ride, which was entirely different to probably anything they've done before, and then obviously Stoke Me a Clipper, whatever it is. The rest all kind of feel similar. They don't do anything particularly different.
No, they don't. So it's, if you said, oh no, Chris Berry's leaving, but we got the money to do these episodes. Okay. So you can't look at it like a problem. You got to go, what's the opportunity? We've hired Chloe Annette. She's really good. What can we do? And I think you and I have thrown out suggestions of like, man, there are things you could have done.
Yeah.
I mean, why is the cat flying? Why not her? I guess she's a navigation officer, not a pilot. But
which does lead to a very funny joke in this episode, by the way.
But like, there's one. What if all of a sudden, like Lister, or like Rimmer used to be, she's like, well, I don't know this person. He's different than my cat. Answer me this. Oh my God, you don't know any. No, he can't fly until he passes my Space Corps flight test. And that, do you know what I mean? And it's like, damn it. She's like Rimmer, except she knows what she's talking about. He just did this stuff to try and look important. There would be something there could be something interesting there.
It's funny that you bring that up, because Lister's the only one she compares to her counterpart. It never plays into, oh, like my Crichton's not like this, or do you know this? Oh, well, my Crichton, never, or Cat. Like those two never play into it. It's only Lister that she's like, oh, well, my Dave's this, that, the other. Whereas that could have led to a bit of interplay at least.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm doing my best to stay positive. And I mean, there are some jokes and there's some things that feel like old school Dwarf.
When she takes his arm off is brilliant, by the way. And he's like,
oh my gosh,
my right arm, it was supposed to be my left arm. What type of navigation officer doesn't know the difference between left or right? I thought that was funny.
I do all my favorite things with my right arm.
Again, that goes back to early things where that would have been one of those where he'd have said what that was, but we don't need to. We're just going to leave it there. So we have learnt stuff over the course of time. There was a couple of British references. I don't know. One of them, I wasn't sure whether it was just a British reference. Well, actually, both of them. Did you guys have Clearasil?
Yeah, is that the eye drop?
No, it's a spot cream.
No,
it's like for like acne and
you
like
say
zits.
that name. Oh.
So there's a reference to Clearasil commercials. I can't remember what the joke is.
It's funny because it's back to a day when we used to do commercials.
Yeah.
But yes, when I was a kid, also my old comic books, Marvel and DC Comics would have Clearasil.
Okay, I didn't know whether that was just a British thing. And then the toilet duck. Do you guys have toilet duck? I didn't know whether that was just a British thing or not.
Is toilet duck the thing? It's like a plunger type thing.
It's like a toilet bleachy stuff, but it's got like a weird curved neck so it can go underneath. Yes. Yeah, I wasn't sure whether that was just a British thing or not.
We definitely have the same like little neck. And I feel like I remember seeing the actual duck at some point, but yes, we have several different ways to do that.
I wasn't sure. Yeah, so we've gone away from that a lot, haven't we? Like quintessential sort of British
I have ones to add onto that then. On that note, why does Lister say the room's a constant 90 degrees? Why doesn't he use Celsius?
I think we've brought this up before.
Yeah, when he's in there with the frozen body.
You could argue... I think we've talked about this before. You could argue that, don't forget, we're like however many, I mean, even up to the beginning of Red Dwarf, we're like 100 years in the future or whatever. And that maybe there's a standardization of temperatures at that point. You could argue that, do you know what, rather than have Celsius and Fahrenheit, we're just going to merge it all into one and we're just going to call it Fahrenheit now because that's where most people, I mean, what is a question for you then? Let's go off topic as we always do. Countries in the world, Blake. I don't know this. Do you think what's the majority of countries that use Fahrenheit versus Celsius? Would you say that most countries use Celsius over Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit over Celsius?
I thought it was more Celsius than Fahrenheit.
I don't know.
It was
actually.
us and a couple of others. Now we've turned our pod back into the cultural exchange pod.
It's interesting though because I don't know. Apparently.
Well, I know, like, obviously you guys are with kilometers and whatever, but I also know that you miles stuff because it was it's even called the English measurement, so like. But
yeah, I would say miles.
Makes sense to me.
It's weird. It's like our speedometers in our cars have kilometers an hour and miles per hour. But if you were to ask the average person like how fast they were going, it will be in miles an hour. All the speed limit signs are miles per hour.
Oh, I did not realize that.
Yes, we haven't for a country that's kind of embraced the metric system. We still kind of don't fully use it. It's weird. Like we still use inches. Most people, if you asked the average British person how tall they are, they would tell you they were 5'7" or whatever it might be. They won't tell you, I'm like 1'6", even though if you Googled it, that's what will be there. But the most British people will give you it in feet and inches.
And you still all say weight for stones for weight.
Yeah, it's weird. Like we're still a very mixed country when it comes to that. It's very odd.
Did you see the list? It's pretty slow, by the way, of Fahrenheit countries. It's United States, Bahamas, Belize, Bermuda, Cayman Islands, Micronesia, Marshall Islands, and Palau. So most of them are associated. Some of them associated somehow to the United States or England, but
so then maybe all right then. So maybe we decided to use Fahrenheit because we talked about it that they were trying to get the US pilot off the mark. We've said that they started to get a US audience in it more. Maybe that's just a little tweak, just to not. Alienate's not the right word, but just to make it feel a little more comfortable for the American audience watching at this point.
But we've also said there's always been weird things. Early on, Zero-G football. The pictures of Zero-G football in Series 1 were American football outfits and stuff. So, I mean...
But then you would think watching a 1988 BBC British comedy series that they mention football, that you're talking football, soccer. Yeah, you know, but it's not. It's very strange. I don't know. There's some weird... It's the future. Who knows? It's like Pizza Hut. There's only Taco Bell left in the world.
Right. It's like how Firefly used to do everybody speaking a little bit of Chinese because it was the future and China had done more things at that point. Yeah. There are a couple of fun jokes in here. God, what a terrible thing to say. Trying to stay positive. The attack of Caroline Carmine, the zombie, against Lister is great.
Oh yeah.
The whole sliding into the bed and him thinking it's Kachansky. It's very classic dwarf, and the gross make out with her and spitting out her teeth.
Oh God.
Just brilliant. It did bring me one of my more favorite Lister lines. I've just been molested by Tutankhamun's great grandma, which
I love, for all I hate the fact that Crichton's been dumbed down to the service, but again, I do like the fact that he's like, it's just a quick dust, sir. And it's like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, Crichton. Well, it's an emergency 3 o'clock in the morning dust is brilliant. I love that. Rather than just coming in and saying, look, I think there's someone about.
Well, and I know there's this gag of him trying to be like, no, buddy, we're still friends. She's not going to replace you. Except, I don't know, like in the old Red Dwarf, you've got Lister working with Crichton to break his programming and make him more human. And you being jealous and stuff, like that's being human.
Yeah.
But we're kind of missing that Heart of Gold Lister episode in this series where he would sit down with Crichton and really work on this problem with the Kachansky thing. Instead of just being like, oh, no, trust me, dude, I don't like her.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like, I feel like there's an opportunity for something, because a lot of times when Dwarf has been the best, while we get the classic, what a schmeeg from this scene, Lister spending his time trying to get Crichton to break his programming
being earnest
is great.
Yeah, those earnest moments.
Yeah, he loves Crichton, and the idea of something being that knows that it's alive, that's created to serve people, just rubs Lister the wrong way, and he tries to get him to be his own man. That's so good. I mean, the whole hinge on the Back to Reality episode where they think the despair squid has made them think they're in that game.
Yes.
Is them saying the thing that made you the most upset is you do view yourself as a moral person with a moral center, and instead you were like this fascist leader in this world. Like, we are kind of missing, and I think we spent so much time building these people up. Like, the only hint of this we get is actually the Stoke Me a Clipper episode, where Lister sacrifices his friendship with Rimmer to let Rimmer go be the person Rimmer should be.
So he is my devil's advocate on this. Maybe Rimmer's the crux of that. Because Rimmer used to take advantage of Crichton. And that's maybe, I think that's why Lister used to do. So hear me out. I don't think Lister was trying to break Crichton's programming for Crichton. It was to piss Rimmer off. Because he knew Rimmer would take advantage of Crichton, like wanting to do things for people. He's like,
even if it was both things, you're right. Like you're absolutely right. That's a great shout.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me. And now Rimmer's not there, and there's no one taking advantage of Crichton. He's realised that Crichton's doing it because that's what Crichton wants to do, as opposed to doing it because it was his programming. But Rimmer knew that he had to. Like, if Rimmer asked him to do something, he would have to do it. And it's like that thing of like, oh, I have to do Mr. Rimmer's chores, sir. And he'd have like a fold-out sheet of paper that was like 6 foot tall. And that's like, oh, I need to change this because there is no way Rimmer is taking your time up that much.
Yeah. And then the only time Lister makes him do things is when he's mad at Crichton.
Yeah.
But Lister still does things like let him do his laundry and stuff. So,
well, of course, because he's not going to do it himself, because he wouldn't do it because he doesn't care. We wouldn't get done if it wasn't for Crichton.
Yeah, maybe it is the Rimmer thing.
It's a Rimmer. I think
to some
Rimmer,
extent, you need to not like any of them. And hear me out with that. Lister sucks as first presented to us. This is not a good person.
No.
That is, Rimmer sucks. Cat, really? This is what you've done in 3 million years of evolution? This is where we're at?
Yeah.
And Holly's a mess. Crichton is actually the one that's the most put together when he is rebuilt for Series 3. But they're all kind of a mess that you come to love despite their mess. And I just wish, I think they're trying to do it with the whole, oh, Kachansky's a nerd. And I'm like, yeah, again, I like being different than Rimmer. She actually knows these things. But like, make her socially terrible or make her, I don't know, like just give her, she needs something, because if it's a lovable group of slobs trying to go through space, she needs something like that.
I think they had it a little bit when she first came on board of being the pampered queen.
Yes.
And it went away very quickly, though. That was the problem.
And again, I have this memory that for series 8, and this might be one of those things where it's like series 2, 3, 4, they just get better at writing for them.
Well, yeah, but like that's what I was saying to you earlier. At the end of because the series was so short, they would introduce a character. So they introduced Cat, and it took them a series to figure out his role, and then they would bring Crichton in, and it took them a while to kind of factor in having Holly and Crichton together, and that was where you do 6 episodes, right? What do we need to improve over the end of that? What didn't work in those characters? And then they come back for the next series and they go, oh, they've kind of figured it out. Or they go, do you know what? It doesn't work with Holly and we need to just get rid of Holly. And that's where I'm hoping this series comes in, that they've brought her in quickly, because there's another trivia there which tells me that Rimmer left not necessarily mid-shoot, but earlier than they were anticipating, because
Well, they had 3 years to plan it, right? So 4. So they may have had plans.
Maybe. You know. But apparently the original script ending was for Rimmer to let the Epideme virus infect him, then he would deactivate himself, leaving Epideme exposed so that Cat can shoot it with a bazooka. But because Chris Barry left, the series ending was changed. So it doesn't feel like they knew he was leaving all the way through and then brought her in. It felt like a knee-jerk reaction to bring her back, and they haven't figured out what to do. So hopefully that transition between Series 7 moving into Series 8, they have time to sit down and go, right, it didn't quite work. How do we integrate her into that crew better?
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. And again, as I said, next series, they'll have more opportunity to get to know her and write better for her.
Yeah.
And right now, she's very just...
They're trying to find out.
Well, and they even said, right, they were still trying to do a movie, so they wanted to bring in a new character that could work for the movie. Yeah, okay, fine, but it's like when Crichton gets introduced. He's fun.
Yeah.
But it's not until his episode at the end of series 3, I think, where it like really solidifies, where it's the one where he's out of time. He's expiring.
Oh yeah.
And they have the whole party for him and everything. And then the Terminator like other version shows up to kill him.
Yeah, I know the way. I can't for the life of me think what the episode's called.
Not out of time, but I think it's the last one of series 3, if I remember correctly. But that's a perfect example of that episode starts with its normal cold open. You find out about last day. You find out that they're going to send this thing, and then Crichton accepts that he's going to die. And it becomes this since funny, even though it's dark, as they sincerely try to do a proper send-off for him. Everybody gets drunk. And then at the end, he learns how to lie about Silicon Heaven.
Oh, yeah.
And like it works because there is a point to this whole story. With this one, we need to, how this leads to the cliffhanger of the next episode is wild to me.
Yeah, really. It's literally just to get to the nanobots.
It's just to mention the nanobots. Yeah. That's the only reason. And like, it's so, it just doesn't, in some ways, it's like he needed to lose his arm in the first 5 minutes, and the rest of the episode was the stuff from the next episode of him moping about not having one. That's more interesting than...
Yeah, that whole lead up to him losing his arm. It does... You're right. The whole 2 episodes feel drawn out, but not. Yeah, but aren't doing anything meaningful.
And we said this used to be a 6-episode series. It's 8 this season, and it feels it.
Yeah.
I think if you smash some of this stuff, you pulled the best bits out, and you didn't even really change the stories.
I mean, that's a stretch, Blake. You pick the best bits out, buddy.
but if you pick the best bits out, I'm just saying, I think Series 7, and sorry, this is going to get repeated a little bit in the next episode, I feel like Series 7 at least goes, okay, they were gone for 3 years. Like, it wasn't as good as what it was, but I had fun, right? Yeah. Because, again, if you just cut 2 episodes out of this, all of a sudden, you really enjoyed 2 of them. That's a way better ratio.
Yeah,
than
2 out of 8. 2 out of 6 rather than 2 out of 8, yeah. And that's, that's the weird thing. I mean, there's a piece of trivia for the next episode, Blake, that talking about what we're talking about right now is going to blow your mind, by the way.
I think I know what it is, and it's been hard not to say anything because it's insane to
just don't see how that's true, especially knowing what the fan response to this series was. It
is a much more bog standard sitcom.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's what the fans don't like it.
So the interesting thing, every series that's preceded this one, you can kind of, if you were to put it on now, an episode from a series, or like say 2 episodes, if I was to put 2 random episodes on for you, I think you would be able to tell fairly certain if they were in the same series or in different series, because each series feels self-contained.
I agree. I think the only ones I struggle with are 3 and 4. Not now that we've done our rewatch, but prior, I would sometimes mix 3 and 4 up a little bit.
This one, the episodes are all over the place. Like, you look at Ticket to Ride, it doesn't feel like any other episode of Red Dwarf. It feels so like different.
There was a 2-episode series that happened before this, and that was Ticket to Ride and Stoke Me a Clipper.
They don't feel like they're part of this series at all. Such good episodes of Red Dwarf that the 6 episodes that came after them is mental for a start. But
and is that because those had good stories? Like, that's a crazy story. We are going back in time. The premise is stupid. The Curry premise is stupid. But then the whole JFK thing.
Yes.
And then the Stoke Me a Clipper, Ace is back.
Brilliant
Rimmer's
idea.
going to...
Perfect.
Again, that's going, we've got the problem. Chris Berry's leaving, but we do an awesome send-off for his character.
It's perfect. Like, a really good reason for him to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. That every subsequent episode hasn't had that story hook to make it stand out.
I agree completely. Oh, Lee, this is so tough. I was like, God, I should say we should do these 2 episodes together, because this is almost hard, because I don't want to go too far down the track of a series retrospective, but it kind of forces you that way, because they put these 2 episodes together in a way.
I would have liked to have seen a world where, I know they obviously couldn't because of what happened, but in the grand reality of things, if Chris Barry was going to leave, I would have liked to have seen this series be as it was without Kachansky coming in, and Stoke Me a Clipper being the last episode of this series, leading into them bringing Kachansky in at the beginning of Series 8. So you're starting afresh rather than having...
Or that could be your finale, one way or the other.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you, if you do... So maybe do Stoke Me a Clipper 7. And then the Kachansky episode as Series 8, and then you've...
Although I think I agree with you. I'd almost prefer Stoke Me a Clipper somewhere in the middle, and you get a few episodes of
you said
Dave trying to figure out life.
Yeah, could just do it, just the 3 of them, and they've never got a chance to breathe. You've said that quite a bit, and that's a big reason why it feels like bringing Kachansky in was a complete knee-jerk reaction, because it's like, oh my God, we need to replace Rimmer immediately, and it's like, but no, you don't. Why not give them chance to kind of miss him and be without him? They didn't have a Crichton.
Yeah. For, 2 series, just so let it be.
Holly, I haven't had Holly. Like, we've had time. Spoilers, guess who's coming back? But we've had time to get used to Holly not being there. But they didn't give the crew chance to breathe without.
Oh my gosh! See, again, this isn't fair. It's Monday quarterbacking. But you know what would be better, Lee? I got you one. So we do. Lister Rimmer leaves episodes 2 or 3. Let's say This is us redoing. You know it's bad. We've got nothing to talk about other than how we would do it.
I think this is interesting though. That like we're talking about a series that, from the fans' perspective, is not well loved. How can we make it better?
So what would be fun would be Lister trying, and Crichton's arc of like, oh no, and when you know, you can even have a cat being like, what is it you're worried about? Like a couple episodes after that, and Crichton's like, Holly expressly brought back Mr. Rimmer because he kept Mr. Lister sane.
Yes.
And so he's freaking out about it. And it is Crichton's idea to figure out how to pierce reality and pluck a Rimmer from another reality. But when he does it, Rimmer isn't there. Dave's the hologram, and they end up with Kachansky. Perfect. And this has all been Crichton's fault.
Yeah.
Like that would be and an even bigger reason for Crichton to be like, I hate you. You aren't even who I wanted.
Yes. Like, perfect. Like, yeah. You have a couple of episodes of Lister kind of his mental health slowly declining and doing stupid crap around the ship, or sending them off on stupid missions or whatever because he's just losing his sanity, to where, like you say, Crichton's like, right, something needs to happen because like Holly brought Rimmer back because he was supposed to keep him sane, right? Perfect, there we go.
Well, and so just in case anyone's listening, you know, just again, bring us on the Cult Consult when this relaunches through the BBC and like an Apple project. I don't know. But I do want to make something super, super clear, which I've said in previous episodes, as you as well. I enjoy doing this. I love looking at what happened and trying to like figure out what's a better way we think we could do it. Now, someone that has worked in entertainment, though, there is no blame on the creators working on this, because I think we've already established through our conversation, I'm not quite sure why they had the 3-year gap. We didn't really look into that, but why there was like a 3 or 4 year gap between series. But I'll bet you they planned out a bunch, just like your trivia showed that Rimmer was supposed to be in this episode. They planned out a bunch. They were looking to try and get it filmed. For whatever reason, it took a little bit. And then when it did, Chris Berry was on the way out. There's all these things. Whenever you're trying to make stuff, there's all this crap that gets in the way that you just have no idea about. And so, sure, if they had been given better prep time and a better way, I am very sure that this would be, I'm not saying our idea would be the one picked, but like, you know, some of the things that we're frustrated with probably wouldn't exist. No one sets out to make a bad thing. They all did the best they could with the material that they were able to come up with in the circumstances that they had. And I hope I'm not shooting myself in the foot. I would love to know what some of our listeners think. I'm not saying 8 is as good as it has been, but I have this memory of 8 having you said in the beginning of this, an identity that it was searching for.
Yeah.
8 definitely changes the status quo again. And whether you enjoy it or not, firmly plants itself with a strong identity of what the show will be right now. And I think, unfortunately for 7, this is caught somewhere in between. I don't know what we're going to talk about on the next episode because we're getting to some things I thought we would get to.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got another Americanism for you.
Okay.
So, why in a British show, how much do people in England know about Salt Lake City?
Because the line, about that. I don't even really know what Salt Lake City is.
The line of Lister saying this is deader than a Saturday night in Salt Lake City. I wanted to ask you if it even showed up in yours. Like, is this a double recording that the American version says this and the...
No, it was Salt Lake City in the one I watched. And I watched it on the BBC iPlayer.
Well, for you and any listeners unaware, Utah is where so many of the Mormons settled.
Okay.
And they're very, like, it's a very... the predominant religion in Utah is Mormonism. And they do not drink and they don't do caffeine. In fact, they have like these soda... some more Mormon listening is going to be, Blake, you're butchering this, but I apologize. But like they have like these soda shops that don't have caffeine and stuff instead of bars in some areas and stuff. I mean, like it's a very chill place. It was only within the last 20 to 30 years that you could even really do. I remember there was a brewery in Utah that opened and made a beer called Polygamy Porter. And it was crazy that like they were making a beer there now.
Yeah. Cause wasn't there a TV series about like sending them out, like they sent the kids out into like the real world for a little bit to kind of see what life was like.
No, you're thinking of Amish.
Oh yes,
that's where I live now.
Sorry, yes.
With the Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. It was.
But in Utah, it is predominantly Mormon, and so that joke is I don't even know how hard that hits in the States, but people would go, "Oh, okay, I get it with their
Blake."
You know what I mean?
When have we ever accused Red Dwarf of being on the pulse of what's relevant at the time? You and I...
Teasy Weezy.
Exactly. That's exactly where I was going. Like, who the hell? I question anybody who watched that show when that episode came out knew who the hell Teasy Weezy was.
Well, this one was, I mean, it's not... I don't know. It's not even... I feel like a joke about a Southern American would hit... harder. I don't know. Because it's so specific. Yeah, that one.
Then is that what I've said? Because they're trying to just, like I said, we've gone away from those weird British jokes now, and we're bringing in like that. It's an American joke, but not even. Like, even the British jokes weren't necessarily like real pop culture British jokes. They were like really random things from ages ago. And maybe this is. We know we've got an American audience now. Let's slip something in for them. But again, we don't want to make it a mainstream where everybody laughs. We want to do it where like half the American audience goes, that's funny. And the rest go, huh?
Yeah, that's if it were funny for an American, I would be like, oh my God, this is hysterical. I'm surprised I put it in here. But I would even say you couldn't, in 1997, if you dropped that into a Friends episode, I don't even know that really hits. I mean, like that, like... It's a very odd one.
I love that. I love that they do random jokes. I love that they're not all four corner jokes. I love that they do it, even though we don't necessarily find it funny. We don't necessarily it even causes a smirk. It's just there and it's random as hell, and I kind of love it.
Yeah. It definitely still at times says I'm going to be what I am, no matter what anyone thinks. Yeah, and I will give it huge props for that. And I give the team huge props for, again, your show was picking up people, then you took this long gap and you're losing one of your stars. You're like, this is tough. It's like doing the Ghostbusters, but yanking one of them out, right? It doesn't, that team works, right?
Yeah.
And it like lightning in a bottle, that first Ghostbusters movies was. And there is something to that with this crew. Also, it doesn't hurt. It also hurts in that in a rare move at the end of series 6, even though it said to be continued, it was actually quite a good finale for Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
And so it also, this series follows that. Again, I'm getting further. I should save this for the next episode.
Yeah. But it's like you say then, it's like the Blues Brothers and then doing another Blues Brothers movie when one of them isn't around anymore.
Doesn't work.
It really didn't work either, did it? No. I'm genuinely surprised, Blake, that we've managed to talk for 50 minutes about this episode.
Did we actually talk about this?
I mean, all right, yeah. I mean, yeah, we did. Like, I like the fact that we've pivoted on these when there isn't necessarily as much to talk about the episode itself of like, we don't think this was good. What would we do to change it? And I kind of like that because they're not massive tweaks that we've done either.
No, and there are moments of pure dwarf brilliance. The cutting off of Lister's arm bit by bit by bit. Total Red Dwarf. I mean, the Epideme virus being, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was
classic
perfect, by the way. That's how you should have done it. You should have done the intro. It should have been done like that. But it's just, it's a complete callback to Talkie Toaster.
Yeah. And so... Yeah, I don't know if they've ever done, and again, for those of you that might be joining us now, we kind of mentioned early on, we have stayed away from like how things were made and have only sort of learned them in the now of doing this rewatch because we're trying not to be like, I don't want to learn a bunch of stuff about the making of Series 8 until I'm done watching Series 8.
And
like,
to be fair, I'll let you do that stuff. I just watch them. I watch them very much in a bubble.
And that's exactly. I try to watch it in a bubble. So I don't know if anyone's ever done an honest, like, a conversation. The cast may have, and they all do like conventions and stuff and answer questions. And they may have spoken a bit about, what they were trying to get with Series 7. But, I should leave it there because despite what we're saying, there was information I learned about Series 7 that shocked me. But it revolves around the next episode. So I'll save it for that.
Right, I'll tell you categorically now, I have not given this a rating yet. So I'm going to come over to you, Blake, first. What are you giving it out of 10?
Instead of a 3, I gave it a 4 out of 10 because there are a couple of fun moments, but they are far and few between. I think this 7 and 8, I'm going to say that probably the same thing next episode. This should have been one episode.
Yeah. I'll agree. I don't think it was bad. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. So I'll give it a 4 as well. It had, like you say, I think if we'd have squished these 2 episodes together, you'd have probably had one fairly decent episode, actually. But to stretch it out again, we said this coming off the back of 5 and 6, that it already felt like a stretch. To then add another 2 episodes into it feels like a real stretch, and it really has been.
Look, there's a world that if you dropped 5 and 6 and made this 5 and 6 and didn't change anything else, it still might be a better vibe.
Yeah.
When you're all said and done.
Yeah.
So 4 out of 10. They got an extra point for, there are some fun classic moments. They're just far and few between.
Wow. Right, well, so that will bring us to the end of this podcast. Of course, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Dwarf Memory and Twitter at Dwarf_Memory for all show updates or any other random things that I keep trying to do and have done some little bits, but never... I've done some little bits is basically what I'm saying.
Please subscribe, rate and review the show wherever you can, and email us your comments at dwarfmemory@gmail.com. Seriously, I mean... You make our days when you do that. I enjoy reading what gets sent our way a lot.
Actually, I've got one to send you. Someone commented on our Spotify that I haven't sent over yet. I can't remember what the comment was, but yeah, I'm actually so when this episode comes out in a week's time, I'll be going to meet one of our listeners, a friend of Tracy's who has been listening to the show for the longest time that I have never met. But we are going down to stay with Tracy's good friends, Beth and Darren. And Darren has been listening and watching along with us as a huge Red Dwarf fan. So I'm going to get to meet Darren for the first time. So that should be fun.
Give Darren a what's up, Smeghead.
I will, yeah. So, yes, our next episode will be the last episode of this series. Thank God. And that is Nanaki. So make sure, I say thank God, I don't know what's coming in Series 8 yet. But yeah, so make sure to watch before you join us on the next episode. Or do you know what? I wouldn't fault you if you just didn't watch it and just joined us to rip it to bits anyway.
I will try to do my battle of pulling positive out where I can.
I think we did all right.
We did all right. The defibrillator. Clear.
Where have I been?
Well, for the last 2 minutes, sir, you've been dead.
Wow.
How did it feel?
Have you ever been to Swindon?
Mwah.
What was that for?
For not staying dead. Ugh, germs.